So be a little less conservative now. I have been telling you guys over and over and over and over again. As you guys have seen on my vlogs, I am now at over, where are we at 2.8 million in a year. And so I love it when I come up against opposition. They think I don't have a following. They don't think I have viewership. Was prepared to monetize and still am prepared to monetize with Google as they accepted and offered to me. So make no mistake about it. And plus, my background in the music industry, as many of y'all already know, and the connections I have not only in music, but in media. I will use them at my behest anytime I see fit. And this is one of the reasons I thought that would be fit to use it right now. Now, many people know, if you don't know, you're a new subscriber. I worked for Bad Boy Entertainment for over 17 years. I went through 3 distributors, Interscope, Atlantic Records, and started at BMG, which is Brothers Music Group. Give me 1 second, I'll light the cigarette, guys. I've always lived here in Connecticut for the most part. Although I did a stint for 3.5 years in New York, living down there before the pandemic started, as many of y'all know. So when I came back to this town, and I'll try to explain to you guys, the town had changed a lot. You had a lot of people here, and some people get upset when I say this, but I say it in a different form and fashion than you think I do. We got a lot of people from New York and New Jersey over here, but they're the wrong people. These are people that are homeless. These are people that are mentally ill. These are people, as you saw displayed in that train station. Now, I was trying to explain to these 2 gentlemen, which either one of them were privy to, what mandate says that you cannot intervene. And as you see, both of those officers couldn't answer that question. But what made me more upset was the blacks that were in there all of a sudden went around and they made sure to calm everybody down. Don't worry about him, Marshall. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And I'm like, you fucking idiot, I'm taking up for you. You don't have the reach I do. You don't have the viewership I do. You don't know the connections I have. You don't have any of the stuff that I have. Most people in the United States don't. And that's not a cocky statement, that's a real statement. Most of y'all know that on here. I keep telling you guys, and I've showed you by display now. Give me a second here to make an announcement. Give me 1 second. Don't log off, because I want y'all to hear this. I might even continue a little bit onto the train for like 10 minutes, so just stay with me. You guys have now seen me, I say upwards of now maybe, 8 to 9 times on camera here, have interactions with white police officers, not where I'm in the wrong, not where I have a problem, but just in regular fashion. Have y'all not seen that? Please put your thumbs up if you have not seen that. And these men have shook in my hand. These men have had conversations with me, which I have on camera. I've showed them my stuff that I've done about them. It's like I say, sometimes it's just good goddamn police work. It's a mantra of mine. It is. And nobody wants their family attacked. Nobody wants any of that crap. Down there in New York, they have a whole bunch of people that apparently are pushing people off subway platforms, attacking people, etc., etc., etc. You guys have sort of seen it in the news nationwide. These creeps and losers are now making their way over here. You understand? And the problem I have with these mentally ill motherfuckers is, as you saw in the train station, I'm purchasing my ticket. There is no reason whatsoever that you should look at me from a corner. Give me 1 second, guys. There should be no reason at any time that you should look at me, because I know he wasn't doing that with everybody in there. There were some guys in there, there were some hefty guys, there were some big guys, and this is another mistake people make for some reason or another. You guys have seen me do bricks on fucking walls, brick walls, you know what I mean? I do rolls on them all the time, so it's like, it's nothing. I'm stronger than you think I am. And so, and I've proven that on camera. I just think that it's sad, because these people have no pride, no dignity, no nothing, and then they wonder why nobody respects you. They don't respect you because you don't even respect yourself. Half of the people in there that were African American should have came to my defense. Half the people in there was a Latino, they should have came to the defense and stood up. But no, what they also did in opposition of that was they went to the white folks and tap danced. And this is why I try to tell you all the time. And that's not a racist statement, it's a real statement. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. Calm down, Marshall. He ain't mean it. Jimmy, shut up now. You have no dignity, you have no balls. So you can't have no revolution. You can't have any run from oppression or any of that stuff, because most of you are scared. Most of you sit around half your lives and you tap dance and, as my uncle say, jitterbug, as generations have done, and you end up with nothing. Half of these people that are here, they're not coming back here tonight. I live here. See what I mean? They work here. They come in, visit, whatever. It's the nicest surroundings of where they're from. I get it. But what you don't do is you come to somebody else's town and show your ass. And that's the problem. These people are coming here. They're not coming here being friendly. They're not coming here being, you know what I'm saying? They're coming here being, give me 1 second, guys. Give me 1 second, guys. You're not going to be able to hear me.
Please come up and open track 2. First class flight cars will be at the front of the train. Car 1 will be the first car, and car 6 will be the last car. 2167 to Washington, arriving next on track 2.
All right, guys, that's what you guys. These guys come over here, and they come over here with the intention of starting trouble. And the trouble they start is just impeccable. Impeccable. Like this one just did this 2 seconds ago. You know what I mean? You can't get away from it. If they're black or Latino, these guys are like forever 21 teenagers. The men, most of them. They run around, they're uneducated, they don't have any jobs, they don't work any fucking way. They live off chicks, and that's all they do. And they do it lifelong. And you can see them from a mile away. So when I saw this guy coming from behind me and I'm sitting there and I'm grabbing my ticket, I'm thinking to myself, why are you standing behind me? Why are you standing behind me? Like, what reason would it be for you to be standing behind me? And what I saw was this. I saw that this guy not only was doing some weird stuff, but he was walking around and acting like there was nothing to it.
Track 5 for the 409 to the Express.
And so that bothered me even more, because I said, don't act like a child. You know what I mean, guys? And it's sad. You're welcome. It's sad because these are grown freaking men. These are not kids. These are not 14-year-olds or whatever. So you see the same pantomime of just the same behavior that's been for over, Jesus Christ, what are we talking now? 140 years. They should have ended it. They didn't. Tap dancing. So I saw these guys, and I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking, you don't have anything whatsoever. You know, we're playing it right. Give me a second, guys. I'm getting on the train. I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm saying, these guys don't have, and I'm just going to be with you guys for another 10 minutes, because I want to get off of here and do some edits and stuff like that. I thought to myself, and I said, you guys just heard every word that I said. Now, this is back in referring to the guys that were sitting there tap dancing and shoe shining. I said, you guys heard everything that I said just now on camera. And the first person, there was a table right in front of me, if you guys saw that. And I don't know what they were doing for some type of setup or whatever they were doing or whatever the case was, right? So there was a group of people that were standing right there. And as y'all can see in the video, there was more and more security guards coming over towards me because I went live. They didn't even understand the premise of why I went live. Only thing they were interested in was a security guard that I questioned heavily on camera, and he was upset that I questioned him on camera. You're not doing your job, sir. You're not doing your job. You're not doing your job as a black man. You're not doing your job as a security officer. And furthermore, I just look at you as a loaf that's sitting here collecting a check. Because these two gentlemen was just sitting up against, as you can see, the bank teller thing, and they didn't intervene one time. They didn't even think of intervening. In fact, at one point, the black cop looked at me when I flagged him, and I said, hey, come here, this guy is nuts. And he wasn't even worried. And I think the state of Connecticut should watch who they give contracts to. Those guys that are working in that train station are there to get no more than a check, no more than, a reason to file for taxes this year. I'm just amazed of that. So I was more amazed the fact that he said to me, we have to wait till they attack someone before we can do something. And when I asked him, I said, well, sir, what mandate is that under, state or federal? He couldn't answer the question. He wasn't educated enough to answer the question. That's why. He wasn't educated enough to answer the question. Being the fact, hey, how you doing? I'm all right. Thanks, too. So we're trying to figure out what's the motive here. If you don't have any type of I guess you say motive behind you being there as a security officer, why are you there? And I know a couple of y'all, hold on one second, guys. I know a couple of y'all were like, yo, why you change up? I didn't change up my voice. It was the fact that I live in an educated state. You know, the Nutmeg State is considered the most educated state in the union. I'm a college graduate myself, so of course I'm going to articulate myself when I'm trying to pontificate what I'm trying to get across to you guys. And I told you guys this before, and I'll tell you again. If you get into any type of pickle, do not look towards any minority officer as a minority 80% of the time to oblige you and help you. And I think I've proven that more times than enough. These black and Latin cops are worse than white cops. Because you guys have now seen 10 times that I've had interactions with cops, including I think the last time was in Times Square, and we had a friendly conversation. They were more willing to talk to me on camera. Time before that, you saw what those guys did for me. Like, I never had a bad interaction with the white cops. I always had a bad interaction with the black cops, and I filmed it down to, I can tell, and I say this with sincerity, and I ain't trying to insult anyone. There's a lot of people that grow up in bad neighborhoods, and as they grow up in bad neighborhoods, they adapt a lot of the, I guess you could say, the wisdoms and the ways of the people in those bad neighborhoods as they grow up in their interior, deeply, you know what I mean, in the tissue. Other people of the same culture group like that. And so what happens is, if you're not general census of black or Latin people, you would think, because there's a paucity of that types out there that are ready to turn up, ready to argue, ready to fight, you'll think that the whole culture is like that, when in reality, it's only about maybe 35 to 40% of them is like that. Most of it comes from 13 to 14-year-old parents. So what you have is, you have a lot of these dudes, they end up hating the neighborhoods that they're in, and once they get into interaction with white people for the first time as adults, then shine my soul sick boss. And you, if you use, I have meteoric freaking rise here. And being my fact that my background in the music industry gets me through a lot of doors, I made sure that I didn't mention any of that music stuff, because, see, if you mention that stuff to them and they're black, the first thing that they do is they go into jealousy mode. And they start conniving and shit like that. And that's what you saw right there. So when you saw in the second half, after I finished talking to those two security guards and I berated that security guard, because that's exactly what he deserved. He deserved to be berated. You're a tap dancing Negro, and the world needs less of you. And God forbid you got a son or a daughter that's going to be a tap dancing Negro just like you. Pay attention to what I'm telling you guys. Those people that I just mentioned that grew up in those neighborhoods, they are no more than a subservient mindset. They're subservient. That's all they know how to do. Just like Calvin Candy said in Django, there's a proportion of people in the populace that have that subservient gene. Not just people of color, but of people in society that has it. This is why we had at one time in this country indentured servants with the Dutch down in Maryland. I'm never worried. I will drag you through court for the next 2 years, just cause. I will make sure you are bankrupt and broke before I'm done with you. That much you can't believe. Done it before, I'll do it again. No problem. It costs $80 to file a lawsuit. As I was in that train station, I was sitting there, and I filmed those two officers, and I berated and tried to basically have a moment with that black officer and just understand his position. Instead, he wanted to get more and more sarcastic. At one point, I was talking about, the same person I was talking about came and sat down right behind me, very boldly, this scrungy, dirty, unaccomplished white man. Unaccomplished white man. This is the terminology the whites use amongst each other. You're an unaccomplished white man. That's what he was. He was an unaccomplished white man, on drugs, uneducated, low tier, as far as DNA is concerned. Yes, he was. You can look at him and tell. I put him on camera so y'all can see him. Go back and watch the last video if you're just now tuning in. And he sat boldly behind me. And he was just defining the fact that his white skin was going to supersede anything that I had to say. And I said, yeah, all right. I'm talking to the soldiers right now. But after I finish talking to the general, after I finish talking to the sergeant, we're going to see if things still working your way and you still have that same sarcastic grill on your face. Because that's what it comes down to. I don't want to talk to the soldiers. I was a soldier at one time myself at the record companies. I know what a soldier is. I need to talk to the general. And if you can't provide me the general, I'll seek him out on myself. And you will find out at that time it would have been better in your interest to provide me the information to get in touch with the general. Now, y'all have seen me on this camera a lot of times having to go to this length or whatever. And you see I always win. I always win. Always win. You're not talking to an unaccomplished man. You're not talking to an uneducated man. But based on the fact of what their perception is of things, the lower tiered whites, lower tiered blacks, it's all in linear fashion. Funny fun fact for you. Funny fun fact. Give me 1 second, guys. A linguist, and I believe it was out of Brigham Young University. I watched the lecture she did. And she was talking about the different tiers of white culture. And in it, she had something that was inundated and was inventive. I had never heard of it before. And she talked about specifically the facial features with a contestant with bad DNA. And this bad DNA also contains bad genome, bad principles, etc., etc., etc. Kind of like the profile of what you would call pictorially of a criminal. You know what I mean? A lot of it depicted that. But one of the other things that stuck out to me within her whole diatribe was this. She talked about how blacks in the South at that time emulated the voices, because these people were from Africa. So they emulated the voices and the accents of the people that they listened to and talked to and took orders from. And most of the time, it was of a lower caliber of English. And so many of the, I guess you would say, and if you go down south to this day, it's kind of still like that, if you ask me. But many of the I guess the articulations and octaves of slang and things like that or whatever actually got the genesis from that simple transatlantic slave deal, you know? So I say like this and I end like this. This is I said to that black man, I don't want to talk to you any further. And you kept on intervening. And I told him once again, I don't want to talk to you anymore, sir. I'm done. I got everything I needed out of you. You can't give me an answer. You can't give me an answer. You can't give me an answer. Guys, keep in consideration this. If you get into any type of pickle, do not look towards a black officer or a Latin officer to give you the same record as a tap dancing, shoe shining ass will a white person. I've told you guys this before. I've showed you this example on camera. A black police officer helping. I don't care what locale you live in or whatever. But more importantly, what I saw displayed for those contractual guard card holding wannabe cop loser motherfuckers that thought they had some power was that every last one of them was either black or Latino. Every last one of them will lead black or Latino people up to their guys if somebody was to attack them. And their motive in their mind psychologically is defend anybody white in the train station. But you wasn't hired for that position. You wasn't hired for that purpose. This is why they hire white male officers. You understand what I'm saying? Let's not make any qualms here or whatever. If you're a Latin or black officer, I got a friend that works right out of the Navy base out there in Groton. And another one that works over at the freaking nuclear power plant over in Niantic. Make no mistake about it. If you're hired a lot of times as a black or Latin officer, you're hired, or a woman, you're hired under the guise of your color or your gender. It is what it is. I skipped that because of the simple fact I work for a black company. So I wasn't the same. I didn't have the same, you know what I mean, streamline that many other people did. But I am familiar with it. And there were many of times where they exactly, how can I say, they put that forth in our face too, even being bad boy entertainment, you know? So finally, I'll just say to you this. The first person that ran over to that table, like I was saying, when all those security guards started coming upstairs or whatever, trying to amp up, you know, blow things up and make them bigger than what they are, which hurt my heart more than anything, because I moved out of her way when she got off the elevator. She sat there and she was listening to me the whole time I was talking. And it was when I looked over and she gave me this little evil smirk, because I guess she was mad because I was articulating or whatever the case may be. I don't know. But for whatever reason, sister, I told y'all, watch that word, watch that brother and sister crap. Sister decided to do the opposite. She started to walk over to the table and apologize. I won't apologize for his behavior, also. And I was like, where's your dignity? Where's your integrity? You know? All those things are in detail when you're in public forum. Every person in that train station that was from the town, that was from Connecticut, felt what I was saying. We have wackos coming out to these towns, to these cities, from New York, from New Jersey, from Bridgeport, from Norwalk, and they are causing utter hell. And I don't give a crap when anybody says we're not getting the best of people from those locales. If we were getting the best of people from those locales, it would be different. We're getting the worst of people from those locales. We have people in Stanford train station that are sleeping at the bottom of the steps. You have to step over them in the wintertime sometimes. And there's a shelter right downtown. But they can't accommodate them evidently because there's so many of them coming over from New York. You know? When I come on tonight, I'm going to film for you guys because we have a stay in place mandate. And I say like this: if you lifted the ban on wearing masks, because as a couple of months ago, we had to wear masks on this train. You couldn't even get on this train if we had masks on. Dead in my mind, if you lifted the ban on masks, how come you haven't lifted the ban on stay in place? You have millions, if not billions of dollars allocated to you. And the problem here in Connecticut is, from what I've learned, is that the money is divvied to the counties. You know, we have a lot of counties out here: New London County, Hartford County. I live in Fairfield County, and so the money is divided and divided into these different areas. You know, and some people, like over there in New Haven County, where they were stealing money and going over there to the casino. Yeah, they caught two guys. One stole $100,000, and I forgot what the other one stole. But they stole the money. Went up there to Foxwoods and Mohegan Sun, don't you know? But I'm just appalled at that behavior, and it shows you guys something I've been telling you guys. Ladies and gentlemen that are Black and Latino, listen to me very carefully. Give me 1 second. I want y'all to hear me very clearly. And take this with you, and take this from a guy that's been in everything. Maserati, Lamborghini, BMW. I done put up pictures, videos, everything else for you. So I don't have to prove anything. You can Google me. I come up very easily, associated with MTV, Bad Boy, everything else. I did the life, you know. It's funny to me because you'll see people in these manual positions. What does security guard make? Like $21? I've never made per the hour, if you want to say. We've never done that. Those guys got to make no more than 21. Let's say $21, $23 an hour, right? You punch in and get maybe 8 hours, 8 hours a day, 7 times 8, 40. It's only about $480 if you get part-time. It's not a lot of money. You can't do much for $480. So $480 after taxes, what is that, like $410? $410 plus $410 plus $410 plus $410. Maybe you might have 3 or 4 days less in a week. So let's say that's about equated to about $2,000 a month. That's high school money. We used to get $2,000 a trip. And we get per diem money and everything else on top of it. That's chump change. Can't live off that. Nobody will even rent to you if you make $2,000 a month. So my thing is this: these low-end gentlemen work as a team to conspire to say to themselves and to you, and I'll say to you as people, if you don't get a little integrity, if you don't get a little dignity, if you don't get a little gumption, if you don't get a little know-how, if you don't start standing up for yourself, when you see someone standing up for you, don't collectively join in and be like, yo, I got you back. And it was men in that train station. I want to point that out. It was men in that train station. Never mind the women. There was men. And these men were lower tiered men. They walked up to that table to the Indian man and the white woman. who had nothing to do with what I was talking about on my live. They were upset about my live. They weren't upset with me. They were more upset with my live than they were upset with someone attacking someone in the train station. That's what I want to put the highlight on. This is what's paramount in the conversation. The whole conversation started off because I started filming them, and I walked up to them and I asked them very politely, "Sir, how come you didn't come and become attentive when you just saw what you saw?" "Oh, what happened?" I said, once he did that one, I was like, "Oh, okay, you're a sarcastic piece of shit. I got you. You're just a piece of shit here to get a check." I'm gonna say to a lot of these private security firms or whatever, but I'm gonna say first this. People, you can't brown nose your way through life. It doesn't work. I worked for a black company. I worked for that company for 17 years. I've been everywhere you could think of. All right, some of y'all, I can't stand for you do all this stuff on camera and I don't get the same support. So I'll be back with you guys when I reach and touch that. Talk a little bit more about this. Make sure you hit up the Cash App, guys. $STRINGBERL 80. Links in the description box. There's also a PayPal link there. There's also a GoFundMe link there if you want to contribute to that. There's also what's the name. Hit that up right now. I'm on the move. I'm going to a couple locations for you guys to film or whatever. One particular you're going to love. But like I said, it depends on if you guys donate. I'm not going to just keep using my money. So, and I want to give a shout out to Kahara. I think that's how you pronounce your name, Kahira. She donated today. And I also want to give a shout out to Patrice out there in Arizona. She donated. Thank you, Patrice. I appreciate it. If you're just now tuning in, go back and watch this. And Latin people. You can't tap dance your way through life. That's a way of the old. The display that those black gentlemen put on, and the way that man tap danced for that white man, I was just despicable about it. I was like, "Oh, you one of the old guard, huh?" And I've run into a lot of these tap dances, and it's like you're trying to pretend you're from the same background that I'm actually from, and I know how to sniff you out because we know our own. And you're not one of us. You're the help at best. But stay in your fucking place. That's all I got to say, guys. Hit up the Cash App. I'll talk to you.